Hey guys, what's up, everybody? You've been asking for it, and here it is, my first NFL and college football trend report. It is Thursday, September 7th. This is the first show. As I said, it's a maiden voyage, so this show may evolve. We're going to see how this first run goes. I do have 10 trends for you for this weekend's games, 4 NFL, 6 college football. We are going to get right into those. And guys, as I always say, please never make a bet based on any single trend, angle, or piece of information. Trends should only be one part of your handicapping process. And the best way to utilize trends is to look at all the trends that apply to a game, the ones that are relevant or you feel is relevant, weigh them out. And if they more so favor one side over the other, that then can be considered as a play, or use in addition to that other factors, depending, I don't know if you're a power rating guy or what have you, in addition to the trend work that you do, but never just base a bet on a single trend. Please do not do that. Let's get right into this because we got a lot of them to go through here. We're going to start with college football. We're going to start with trend number 1, and we're going to look at Coach Kalen DeBoer, and when he is against a non-conference opponent. We're going to hit the SGQL button, and you'll see that DeBoer is a perfect 5-0 straight up and against the spread. Average line in those games, minus 13.8. His team, Washington, won those games by more than 25 points a game, so they covered the spread by almost 11.5 points per game. Nice record, very nice ATS margin, and you can see that this is active this Saturday with Washington, a big favorite at home against Tulsa, and it looks like this is also going to be active next weekend as well when Washington visits I believe that abbreviation is Michigan State, but I am not 100% sure. Now, one thing that you will notice in college sports especially, because there's so much player turnover every 2-3 years or so, you've got a whole bunch of new players coming in. The transfer portal and all that really mixes things up. I really don't like to go back to more than the last season, unless the coaching staff is the same. And I like to look at the coaches' records in this. And you can see, as I did this in trend number 1, Kalen DeBoer, head coach, and again at Washington. So when the program and the coach are the same, I might go back more than a couple seasons. It all depends. At least, and again, we're not basing a bet on this trend alone, but this is a starting point to our handicapping for the game. So keep that in mind as we move forward, as you're going to see a lot of coaches' names in these trends. This is a whole different ball of wax than the MLB trend handicapping. I don't use trends as much in football as I do in baseball, because baseball, there are so many games. It's a 162 game regular season. There's games teams play almost every single day for it's like 6 months straight, with rarely a day off. So, to me, you get a larger sample size in a shorter amount of time. And in football, it's a lot different because they only play, in college, 12, 15 or so games a year, depending. And then you've got the turnover of the roster. You've got the turnover of the head coach sometimes. So there's a whole lot that factors into this. So I don't weigh trends as heavily in football as I do in Major League Baseball. And I weigh NFL trends more than I weigh college football trends, just because of the massive turnover that you see in college football with the transfer portal, etc. So keep that in mind as we move forward. This is going to be a long video, as I'm going to be explaining stuff along the way. And I've got 10 trends. I might decide next week that we need to trim that down to 6 or 8. We'll see how it goes. Also, based on your feedback, if you think the video is too long, let me know. Maybe at some point I split it up and do an NFL video and a college football video separate. We'll see how that goes as well. Let's go into college football trend number 2. And for this one, we're going to look at Coach Pat Narduzzi. We're going to look at him at home when he is off a home win. So they won at home in their previous game. They're at home again. We'll hit the SDQL button, and you'll see that Narduzzi's teams, and that is the Pitt Panthers, 0-13-1 against the spread. They were an average 10.3 point favorite, and they lost outright by an average of about 1.5 a game. So the ATS margin is they lost to the spread by nearly 12 points per game. And you can see that this is active on Saturday with Pitt at home against Cincinnati. Let's go to trend number 3 for college football. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell for notifications. I would greatly appreciate that. For trend number 3 in college, we're going to look at Coach PJ Fleck. We're going to look at him when he's coming off a win as a favorite, but they did not cover the spread. Previous game was an ATS or against the spread loss. So previous game, they won as a favorite, but they did not cover the spread. We will hit the SDQL button, and you'll see that Fleck is 10-0-3 against the spread. 10 wins, no losses, 3 pushes. Average line in the games was -4, but they won by an average of more than 18 points a game. So they covered the spread by an average of more than 2 touchdowns per game. And you can see some of those results were from when he was the coach at Western Michigan, but since 2017 with Minnesota. And it is active on Saturday with his Minnesota Gophers hosting Eastern Michigan. So let's move into college football trend number 4. This is a little more complex. We're looking at Coach Kevin Wilson here. And what I wanted to do here was look at him when his team was off a game where they outgained their opponent by at least 125 total yards. However, and I still can't believe that this is the case, but this database does not have a parameter for total yards. So what you have to do is you have to put in parentheses your previous game's rushing yards plus your previous game's passing yards. And then if you want to know the net yard differential, you would subtract, and then in parentheses, previous opponent's rushing yards plus previous opponent's passing yards. So this is a long way, but this is how it has to be done, of saying we're looking at Kevin Wilson's team when they are off a game where they outgained their opponent by at least 125 total yards. And we'll hit the SDQL button. And you'll see that Wilson's teams are, despite an average line of -2.6, they are just 1-11 against the spread, losing by more than a touchdown a game, losing to the spread by more than 10 points a game. I mean, not a bad over-under trend either, 75% here to the over, and they over by an average of exactly a touchdown a game, so that's not a bad shot there either. You can see that this trend is active with Wilson and Tulsa at Washington. Now, remember, I gave you a trend on that favors Washington at the beginning of the show, and now I'm giving you a trend that says to fade Tulsa in that game. So we've now got 2 good trends that are supporting Washington in that game, if you don't mind laying about 5 touchdowns. So let's move in to trend number 5 for college football. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up to like this video. I would really appreciate that. For college football number 5 here, we're going to look at Coach Sam Pittman. And we're going to look at him when his team is off a game where the turnover margin, now this says -2. And this is another instance in the database where it's just like when you look at a line and it says less than -145 in baseball, it actually means they're favored by higher than -145. And this, with football and turnover margin, it is the same, because the system, the database calculates turnover margin by taking the team you're referring to, it takes their turnovers and then it subtracts their opponent's turnovers. So if your team had 2 turnovers and the other team didn't have any, your team was -2 in turnovers, but the database is going to say they were +2 because they had 2 more than their opponent. That's not how we normally look at it. So when this here says previous turnover margin less than or equal to -2, this actually means that Pittman's team had actually a +2 or better turnover margin in the game, meaning they forced at least 2 more turnovers than they committed in their game, in their previous game. And we'll hit the STQL button, and you'll see that the over-under is a perfect 8-0. 8 overs, no unders, and a very nice margin as these games went over by an average of 12.8 points per game. And you'll see in the right-hand column here for overtime, none of these games went overtime. If there was a number like 1 or 2 or whatever here, that's a game that went overtime. But no overtime games to pad this margin, which makes it pretty impressive. You can see that this is active this Saturday with Arkansas hosting Kent State. So let's move into the sixth and final college football trend for this video. And we're going to look at Lincoln Riley. We're going to look at Lincoln Riley since he came over to USC. And we're going to look at him when he's coming off a game where there were 70 or more total points scored. So again, there's no parameter for total points from the previous game. So what you have to do is you have to go with previous points plus your previous opponent's points are greater than or equal to 70. So this is Lincoln Riley since he took over at USC when they're coming off a game that had at least 70 total points scored. We'll hit the SDQL button there, and you'll see that the over-under is 7-0. 7 overs, no unders. These games went over by more than 12 points per game. Again, look at the right-hand column for overtime. There are no overtime games that padded this margin or this record. And you can see that it is active this Saturday with USC hosting Stanford. So we are going to move into the 4 NFL trends that I have for this video. And again, guys, if you want me to look up other situational angles for this weekend's football games, or if you have any trends or angles that you found for this weekend's football games, drop them in the comments. We'd love to see them. For NFL trend number 1, we're going to look at Coach Kevin Stefanski. We're going to look at him against a divisional opponent when his next game is also against a divisional opponent. So it's basically the first of 2 divisional matchups in a row. We'll hit the SDQL button. And I'm not really sure what went wrong there. Because I know what happened. I know exactly what happened. We're on the college football trends page. We need to go to the NFL trends page. NFL SDQL query. Let's try that again. Hit the SDQL button. And you'll see that I got a couple of good ones here. Not only are they 1-7 straight up, losing by 12.5 points a game on average, they're also 1-7 against the spread, losing against the spread by just more than 10.5 points per game. We also have an over-under trend here. Only 1 over, 7 unders. These games stayed under by an average of nearly 8.5 points per game. So there's a double dip right there. It's not showing that this Browns team is active in this trend today. So let's look at their schedule for this season. We'll go with team equals Browns. Season is 2023. And so, yeah, this should be active because week 1, they're playing the division rival, the Bengals. Next week, they're playing the division rival Steelers. So I'm not sure why this trend is not showing up in the database, but it should be. We're going to move into NFL trend number 2. And we are going to look at divisional games. Let's make this easier. We're going to start with Coach Sean McVay. When he is going against a divisional opponent and he is an underdog, D for dog, and his team lost their previous matchup against his opponent. So again, lowercase p would refer to a team or player or coach's previous game. A capital P refers to their previous game against the current opponent. So McVay, in a divisional game as an underdog when his team lost their previous game against today's opponent or the current opponent. And you'll see that McVay's team, and it's the Rams in this case, are a perfect 5-0 against the spread. They covered the spread by nearly 13 points per game on average. And again, this trend is not showing up in the database as well, and it should be because they're playing the Seahawks, which is their division rival. They are the underdog, and they lost both meetings to the Seahawks last season. Now, I'm going to try something real quick here. Now, you know what? It should be coming up. It's just like the other one. I don't know if they're behind on something with the NFL database here, but that game should definitely be showing up as active as well. So we're going to move into NFL trend number 3. And guys, again, a reminder, you pick your freebie football special at dbbets.com. That special deal ends tonight when the Lions-Chiefs game kicks off. And the details for that are on here, and you can see. And the easiest way I can do this is to pull up my Oregon State play because it's in that analysis. Again, it ends tonight when this game kicks off. And basically, I was number 1 in college football last season in all 3 metrics, profit, win percentage, and ROI. Number 1 in NFL profit 2 seasons ago. Number 1 over the last 2 seasons combined in profit from 5% NFL max bets. Turned a profit each of the last 2 college football NFL seasons combined. And if you put the last 2 seasons of college and NFL football together, we have nearly doubled our bankrolls. We're talking an 85.65% bankroll increase over the last 2 years in college and pro football. So until the game kicks off tonight, you have 3 choices. You can grab my college football season package and you can choose to get my entire NFL season for free through the Super Bowl, or you can choose to get the rest of my MLB season free through the World Series. Option 3 is your biggest savings, and that's if you grab the college football NFL season combo package at a discount. You will also get the rest of my MLB through the World Series absolutely free. If you purchase my college football season package, someone from WagerTalk's amazing customer service staff is going to reach out to you to see if you want my NFL season free or my rest of MLB for free. If you purchase the season combo package, you'll automatically receive the rest of my MLB for free. And how you do that, you go to dbbets.com, you scroll down the page, and you will see a header that says long-term and seasonal passes. You a couple inches below that, you'll see a smaller header for football. You just click on the drop-down box below football, select the season package that you want, and we will take it from there as far as adding the freebies. So, again, you've only got, till the game kicks off tonight to take advantage of this huge deal at dbbets.com. Do not miss out on that. So let's go to NFL trend number 3. We're going to go, again, this is applicable this week, week 1. We're looking at Coach John Harbaugh. When his team is a home favorite, and this says less than or equal to -3, but it actually means they are a favorite of -3 or more. So we'll hit the SDQL button. And with the Ravens, Harbaugh is a perfect 5-0 straight up and against the spread. Average line is basically -8 in those games, but they won by almost 25.5 points per game, which means they covered the spread by an average of 17.5 points per game. And this is active this week in week 1. Again, it's not showing up. I don't know why, but it is active with Harbaugh's Ravens, a home favorite of double digits, I believe, against the Houston Texans. That brings us to the 4th and final trend for the NFL and the 10th and final trend of this video. We are going to look at, and this isn't particular to any team. This isn't particular to any coach. This is an NFL-wide trend. We're looking at Monday night games when a team is the home dog. And we're going to go back to October 25th of 2021. So again, it's the 2-digit month, then the 2-digit day, and that's after the 4-digit year, which comes first. So Monday night home dogs since October 25th, 2021. And you'll see that the over-under is 0-11-1. No overs, 11 unders, 1 push. These games stayed under by an average of 11 points per game. And you can see that this is active for Monday night coming up. The Jets hosting the Buffalo Bills. That, guys, is going to do it for my first ever football trend video. I hope you guys liked it. I know this went long. Maybe next week I split it between college and NFL and do 2 separate videos. It's just easy for me to do one video. It's a lot easier as far as the setup time and the getting it loaded after I'm done recording. So as long as nobody has an issue with the length of the video, I'd like to keep it at one video. Maybe reduce the number of trends if the length of the video is an issue. You guys let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, best of luck on all of your wagers this weekend.